Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on a Sisters Trust. I'm really excited today because we're talking about, changing things in our lives, and I have my great friend Demetra here with me. And so she was one of the people, and actually the only person that's going to take me up on that vegan challenge. So we're going to try to do vegan for 30 days. And so what we want to do today is really just talk about it, come up with some ideas, and try to really stick to it. So one of the first goals that we said was that we're going to go from January 2nd, which is tomorrow, to February 2nd. And so I got my little first calendar. I don't know if y'all can see that. It's kind of in the shot. It's got like little stars on it. But this calendar says, kick it into gear, fruits and vegetables. So I'm just going to be holding me. And also with Demetra on here with me, she's going to be holding me accountable. All right, so Demetra, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Glad to be here on January 1st.
I never started off, and I don't look at this as a New Year resolution because I've been making resolutions.
Me
I feel
too.
like you make the resolution and then you don't want to break it. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
But how it is with any goals, it's like you want to mentally start breaking the goal before it get done. So that's why it's great to have what is it?
Accountability partner. Yes.
Yes. And I know you've been doing a lot of working out. You moved and changed your locations, and you was working out with a trainer also. But what do you think about this vegan challenge? Like what do you see?
Well, when I think of vegan, I think of first thing that comes to mind is removing all meat out of my diet, which I said, okay, that's good for a lot of reasons. As far as, it would be good as far as my health, maybe losing weight, even, more weight, because this year, I need to get off at least 10% more of body fat off, because my doctor says so. That's good. That's going to be good for my health going forward. But yeah, when I think of vegan, I think, okay, let's remove meat out of my diet for 30 days and see what the results are. And I think when we remove meat, also too, that's going to actually cleanse your body and give your body a break, because your body, it takes a lot more for your body to process and break down meat. So
yeah, that is so true. So did you tell me that you did like a little bit of research, or what did you find out a little bit about the vegan?
I did just a little bit of research, and I looked up, I got put on my specs here.
Okay.
Okay, I looked up what does it mean to be a vegan? What does Google say or whatever? And one of the places I looked at that said a straightforward definition was vegan and vegetarian diets both exclude meat and seafood. It's kind of straightforward, very simply to exclude meat and seafood.
Okay.
And then it also said to take it a step further by not consuming any foods that are animal origin, such as dairy products, that comes from a cow, eggs, of course it comes from birds or whatever. And what was interesting, it said honey. I didn't expect to see that. So also, in addition to meat, excluding meat and any seafoods, also any dairy products, if you wanted to take it further, eggs and honey. And I noticed too that there were kind of like different types or different levels of vegans.
Okay.
So I guess it just all depends on, a person that's doing a challenge or that's becoming a vegan or whatever. I guess it all depends on, what that person, where you want to start.
Well, yeah, so I hear that it's different, it depends on what your goals are. And I know for me, it's better sometimes when I have some type of system. Because, I was focused on like a couple of years ago being a pescatarian and can eat the seafood. And I can tell a big difference in my body, and it really helps your mind, to really unclutter. Your mind could be like, need to be a little bit more stable. It gives you something to like have a goal to reach. And whether it's just to help your health a little bit, to lose some weight, like you were saying. So I know for me, I had cut on the TV one day and I seen this guy, and they call it the, what is it? The G code. And I said, oh, I could do the G code, because he was talking about really a change of life, not just weight. It was spiritually, you know, with dealing your mental,
Right.
and also changing your body too. And I think the one that they was doing was 90 days. And it's to do a good body cleanse your body. So people do come in, like you said, for different reasons.
Right.
Looking at them 90 days, bro, like, I don't know if I could do it. It's like I said, I could do it, but I know if I put my word out there, I'm gonna do it, right?
Okay.
That's why I like having an accountability part, because I like to be, you know, true to what I said I'm gonna do, even if it's killing me. You know, because really, like on a couple videos ahead of this, it's like I'm getting on there, I got this idea, but it's like your brain starts sabotaging you a little bit. So it's really good when you have accountability part and be like, okay, you know,
Yes.
because I don't know why I started thinking things like you're already starving and you haven't even started, you know, and it would be a really good change, you know.
Right.
So that's why I want us to do the 30 days. And then when we meet that goal, we can add on to that. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's great, because 90 days, you know, I think at first that may be a little, you know, somewhat intimidating. Oh my God, can I get to the 90 days? But we know we could at least do 30. And you know what they also say about to change a habit or to form a habit, it takes at least 20 or 30 days or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
So, but I think 30 days is obtainable, that we could actually make it through the 30 days. And then maybe we can, you know, look up, right, then add on and see, hey, okay, how are we doing? We did okay, we made that's 30, let's try another 30 maybe, or maybe change the diet up a little bit, you know. We could just see.
Yeah. So yeah, a good start. We could start with 30 days, and then we could kind of say what direction we want to go from there. You know, it's going to already be a good change. I mean, we should really see a good change in our way we feel, even with 30 days.
That's
You know,
true.
but I feel like even if a person was going to turn vegan permanently, it's a good way to kick it off, you know, to really have a challenge and you know, be like, okay, I can really do it. Or
Right.
this is for me, or this is not for me.
Right.
It should give us at least a good body cleanse.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
these 30 days. So I
I
know,
think,
go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, I think anytime you take meat out of your diet, you're gonna feel lighter. I know I do. Because I know, you know, over the age of 50 now, that, you know, our bodies start changing. And I noticed that, you know, the more mature, you know, that I've been getting, that it's been harder for my body to break down beef per se.
Okay.
Because I love steak, right? Love steak, but steak does not love me as much. So I really, you know, it had started, you know, basically having issues and stopping me up, but I would have steak every once in a while and realized that I had to eat like a lot of vegetables. If I had a steak or half of a steak, I would have to eat a lot of vegetables in order for my body to process that steak out of my body. But then it also made me feel sluggish. It made me feel heavy. You know, it just kind of changes your whole, you know, demeanor with, you know, well, I know with beef. So I think we'll feel better, feel lighter, and probably, you know, drop a couple pounds or two or three.
Which that'll be great. You know,
Yes.
I know for me, with the different health issues that I already have, I feel like with doing this to be a little step closer as I'm getting my legs and my ankles stronger. And you know, we
Exactly.
just went on the cruise. We just got back on the cruise, off the cruise in September.
Yes.
And you know what? It was, to me, it was my first time feeling like it was a good and a bad cruise. You know, and I always felt like our cruise has been wonderful, and I am excited for the next one, which is in 2024. But it was so hard for me to walk, because before I always had like my special boots, which helped me. So
Okay.
I'm thinking with the vegan challenge, you know, which helping to change your body and losing some weight and stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's gonna make it better for me while I'm practicing on my walking for we got over a year before
Right.
we kick off for the next cruise. Plus, we went in
Mm-hmm.
September, which is we can't do that no more. That was just too hot. And then the hurricane showed up. We just had a lot going on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting.
I know for
Uh,
one of the ladies, the highlight was she won $3,400, so she didn't do bad on our
I
bad cruise.
know.
$3,400, so that was pretty good.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, that
we
was
bought a
pretty
lot
good.
of new
Really
big
good.
outfits with that.
Yeah, yeah, really.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
so
absolutely. And you mentioned about like health as well. I know myself, I have diagnosed with high blood pressure, and I've been trying to control it with diet and exercising. And one medication. I was on two, and then I got off of the two, and now I'm back on one. So, and I read somewhere that the less meat that you have, it also helps with high blood pressure. That
okay,
you definitely don't need all that meat with high blood pressure.
right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
and we can look into that a little bit more because yeah, it's something in there. We got to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
All of us are different, and
Mm-hmm.
just like our characters are different, our bodies are different also.
Yes.
And so maybe with this vegan challenge helping us to clean out some things, we can see how we start to feel before
Mm.
we start incorporating putting certain things back in. Far as if you decide you want to eat meat, then you
Right.
say, okay, well, that really don't go with me because we kind of almost starting off on what is a clean palate or clean slate before we
Mm-hmm.
see what goes with us. Because a lot of times, even in life, we can love a lot of things, but a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't love us.
That is so true.
So we got to figure out, so it's like, okay, we need to love ourselves,
Yeah.
and see what things that we have to cut out. Just the same as
Yes,
relationships. We have to cut out certain relationships
it's
that
true.
tears us down. So this is the same, I would imagine, concept with how
Mm-hmm.
what we put inside of our bodies.
Right.
Like you're saying, we're getting older is now, even though we don't really talk about it as much, getting older,
Right.
it's like, okay, what do we want to change? Because these things are not really helping us anymore.
Right.
We had more energy, got around better, where
Mm-hmm.
things didn't probably affect us as much because we had more exercise to our life. We was more busier, movement
Mm.
wise. And so even though it might have been killing us the whole time, it probably was less noticeable because
Yes.
we're kind of burning that stuff off. But now that we
Yes.
slow down a little bit,
Right.
it's like, okay, it's not good for you. So we have to figure
Right.
out what that is. So this is really, to me, at least it's a good start.
Yes, it's an excellent start, especially like you said, at this age, this stage in our lives, we have to do things to take care of ourselves. And one of the biggest things is paying attention to what we put in our mouths. I know my doctor and I, for some reason, this really stuck when she said this. She said that be conscious of everything that you put in your mouth, everything. She said, think about it, read labels, should you really be eating this? And if you do eat it, make sure, like, say, if it's we talked about bread, I think, not eat bread 7 days a week or whatever, but be conscious of the fact that if you're a bread lover, she was giving me that example. If you're a bread lover, think about it. No, we're not going to eat bread 7 days a week. Maybe you can cut it down to maybe 2 or 3 days a week, but just make those small changes in your life that's going to benefit you. At that time, I think I was trying to bring my A1C level down.
Okay.
And so anything that was white, basically, she told me don't put it in my mouth.
Okay.
White rice, white bread, white sugar. She said if it's white, don't put it in your mouth. Another thing oh my God. I did that for a year, a solid year, because it was a situation where she said, this is what's going to keep you out of the diabetic range. You're going to have to bring your A1C level down. If it keeps going up, you're going to come into my office one day and I'm going to say, I'm sorry to inform you, but you're a diabetic, and my mother was a diabetic and I don't want to hear those words. Okay. Cause I went through that with her. So I was very consistent 1 year. Everything white was out of my diet. No white flour, no white sugar. I changed everything. And my A1C level, it did drop. It really did. It really does work. So what it said to me was, yeah, it does matter what we put in our mouth. When she says, watch everything that put in your mouth, you know, like I think I had a donut earlier in the week. You know, normally I would have eaten two,
Okay, okay,
but I had the donut because I had a sweet tooth, but I only had one instead of the two.
okay,
Small changes like that. Instead of coffee, instead of putting white sugar in it, I get what is it called? Something called monk fruit.
okay.
It's in the form of sugar,
Mhm.
but it has no calories, and it's a sweetener, but there's no aftertaste like those other sweeteners. Um,
Okay,
yeah, and it's totally healthy for you. So I changed from getting white sugar, then I went to brown sugar, and maybe then I incorporated honey instead of white sugar, and then I went to monk fruit. But
okay,
now when I run out of monk fruit, I'll go back to maybe brown sugar, but I don't even buy white sugar now. So
okay,
yeah.
okay. That sounds, I'm not for sure. That name sounds familiar too, because one of our friend Rick, I was like, you using some syrup to put it? I don't forget what he was putting. It might have been a coffee or something, but
Mm,
it was a sweetener.
mm,
Looks like honey or syrup. That's what from the bottle, but it's like something like a substitute or something like that. But it
right,
was more natural what he was
right.
doing, because he eat a lot of look natural things. I'd be like, all right, y'all go ahead on. So a lot of walking and stuff like that. It's like he's on a mission. But
Yeah.
and then if you got other people on a mission with you,
Mm-hmm.
so you can bypass some of the things. And I remember one of my customers a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
he was talking about, he didn't really come out and start saying something about weight, but what he was saying was, just like you were saying about the donut, he was talking about, like, if you eat a certain amount and then this week you eat, like, I'm saying maybe for exaggeration, or like if he was doing 1,200 calories and then
Right,
the next week you start doing it 1,100, and then
right,
when 10, 9, 8, just number wise,
right,
your body's starting to change because
mhm,
you're doing a little bit less. And
right.
that's even without exercise, right? Because it's already changing what you put in your mouth. What I can say is
Mhm.
sometimes we could work ourselves to death, work out and work out. But if we don't change what we put in our mouth,
Exactly.
it's like we're working against ourselves, right?
Yep. It's
And
all
it's
for naught.
always, yeah, and it's always the word tomorrow comes up, right? Oh, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. And then when
Oh my God.
tomorrow comes, you be like, if I would have did it yesterday,
Whew.
then I would be so much ahead. It's
Yeah.
funny
Yeah.
because it made me think about, if we say, hey, we're just gonna eat salary.
Mm-hmm.
We can meet our goals if we can eat that salary. We know that we ain't gonna gain 1 ounce of nothing and everything
Mm-hmm.
gonna fall off. But mentally, it's like
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden your mind won't let you eat the salary. Like it's like what or make a change in your life, but it's like you don't move there. So we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
start with this little baby step, as in doing our vegan, do
Mm-hmm.
it for 30 days, be
Mm-hmm.
accountability. I think we talked about coming in on like at least every 5 days or at least once a week, just to
Mm-hmm.
show our progress, right?
Sure.
See where we going. So whether
Yes.
that's if we got on the scale or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, have something to kind of like tell what's been going on with our life. So one
Sure.
decision we wanted to make was, okay, so I know you like cooked food. We're gonna already get rid of your good old fashioned bread and eggs and stuff like that. So now this is like the challenge I seen them doing was it's all raw. It's fruit and vegetable all raw. So how many days do we want
Mhm.
to let ourselves have a cook our stuff, but it
Right.
still have to be fruit and vegetable. And I think you said maybe we could use a little salt for seasoning. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not all that bad. So what do you think? How many days do we want to, and what days should we try to do to cook so it can kind of like we could be on the same page?
So I like cooked food.
I know. So this is
So we are going
a sacrifice.
so we are going to so doing vegan,
Okay,
we're going to because I mean I think it's a choice whether you have it cooked or there's more nutrients in the food, of course, if it's raw.
right.
But but well, just to be clear,
Okay,
vegans do eat cooked food.
right. They do.
Right. They don't, eat just raw food or whatever. But we can do
But too, now they already done probably made their little goals. and then they say, okay, now I'm ready, and this is what I'm gonna do. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking. So they could have did raw, them 90 days, which we're not doing all of a sudden. But I'm gonna put a little bit in there for you too. So we're gonna have a little cooking going.
We'll make our own rules
So
when it
yeah,
comes to that,
so we're
right?
gonna make
Okay.
our own so we know we can stick to it.
Okay.
To be
Yeah, so we can stick
successful.
to it.
Yes, so we can be successful.
So, right, so we can be successful. So we're trying to figure out how many days cooked and how many raw.
Right, because we got 7 days a week.
Okay. So what do you think?
So, well, one thing, if you're a person that like to go out with other people, maybe we should do like, what nights would that be? Would that be more like a weekend that you might want to cook? At least maybe put a Saturday in there for a cook day, in case you go somewhere and you ain't sitting there just eating some grapes where everybody eating something.
Yeah.
But
so I would say, I would say 4-3.
3 days.
You may say the opposite, that 4 days cooked, 3 days raw, but you may say the opposite because
No,
I think
we're gonna do whatever, we're gonna make a decision. So you wanna have 4 days you could cook the food? 3 days that have to be raw?
yes.
Okay, so what 4 days do we wanna do that?
I don't know. Let's see. 4 days. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. What do you think?
Are those the cook days?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think?
So that's
Or
fine.
or should we do a Saturday and Sunday? Well,
It could be 2 days together. It's up to you. So you wanna cook on Saturday and Sunday in case you end up doing something with somebody? And that might make sense. Well, we both work at home, so it ain't like,
right.
I would think that I was gonna say when people work outside the home, that time might fly by. You don't have to worry about it. But if you're working at home, then, well, you're supposed to be working while you're at home. So I was just thinking, you might be thinking more of cooked food on days that you actually be home versus it's easier to not worry about it's being cooked because you outside working outside the house.
Mm-hmm.
Not having that time to be doing all this extra. But what do you think? Do you want to do Saturday and Sunday together, or should you want to skip the Saturday and have Fridays and Sunday?
We can split. We can Friday and Sunday.
Friday and Sunday.
Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
Okay.
I think that'll be better. Skip a day.
Yeah. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And then when we come back together one of those days, if we want to switch it around, we could do that. It'll still be 4 days,
That's a good idea.
then that way we don't get bored, and then we have something to look forward to, like, okay, we're gonna get ready to have a change. And I think that's the biggest thing too, because how you get stuck in your mind, everything concrete, and then you be like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? So we already gonna be taking a challenge. So what's some good ideas? Like, what's some good things you think that's cookable, so that we don't like burn a lot of calories also, and still be in our vegan challenge that, that we don't want to overdo it. Because we just have to have a limit of how much we eat. We just trying to do vegan and, fruits and vegetables.
Right. Well, I looked up, put my specs back on, huh?
Okay.
I looked up foods that are vegan also.
Okay.
And we talked about this a little bit, but then again, we can do it how we want to. We can decide what we want to do, what we want to eat and what we don't want to eat. But foods that are vegan, that was the last thing I looked up. Vegetables, of course. Breads and pasta are vegan as well because it's not meat. Rice, oats, and other grains are vegan foods. Beans, tofu, and is it tempeh? I don't know exactly how to pronounce that. Also, vegan milks are soy. Almond milk we talked about is vegan. Pea milk and hemp meat, and also nuts are vegan.
Okay, all right.
So
I noticed we're getting ready to run out of time also, but okay, so we know we don't want to have no pasta because we know pasta is gonna go again. Now, if we're trying to also lose weight, that turns after you is dissolved in your body, it turns to sugar. So we don't want to get heavy down with like pastas and a lot of grains and stuff like that. So I think if we try to cleanse our bodies out, and go, I think we talked about getting that cook, cooking the cauliflower, that cauliflower rice. That's
Mm-hmm.
a good filler.
Mm-hmm.
It'll help us mentally. Plus, it'll taste good if you season it with like onions, a little bit of pepper and salt. We don't want to overdo, because like you said, with the high blood pressure,
Right.
also be conscious of that.
Right.
I think it's gonna be a big challenge for us because yeah, once we make our goals, and maybe who knows if we do get all the way to the 90 days, we could think about, hey, we could have a little bit of pasta and measure it out how much that would be. And
Mm-hmm.
figure out what we're gonna eat with the pasta, right? But if we
Right.
do our just doing the basics and see what we can get through with, I think in a week it's gonna tell a story.
What about bread
No bread.
and nuts? No nuts?
I think if we try to cleanse our body out, the nuts ain't gonna work out. So yeah, we're gonna have to be strong and stick to the flat out because we already doing extra with this cooking, right? So we already letting ourselves.
Well, not necessarily the extra with the cooking, because remember, being vegan, vegans cook their food.
Yeah, but I think the
Yeah.
ones just trying to clean their body system out, they talking about.
Now, if you're doing a cleanse, now
Yeah,
if you're doing a cleanse, okay, well, so vegans do cook their food. Some of them don't cook food, but
right,
you can say that you're a vegan and cook your food. But
right.
if we're doing a cleanse along with it,
Mm-hmm.
then I guess if we're doing a cleanse
Because
along with it.
remember when we trying to do a cleanse and have it starting us a new slate, right?
Mm-hmm,
Then when
mm-hmm,
we decide if we want to stay vegan, that's a
mm-hmm.
good idea. But we want to kind of like we want to change all these little rules because I think they probably think now what kind of vegan cleansing is this? They cooking and but it's our own idea. It's our own.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
so if we stick to let's have the 4 days, but also
Okay.
if you decide you're gonna cook something, we're gonna share that, whatever that is. But
Okay.
so I guess we need to be conscious of the calories in it,
Right. That's what it sounds like you're also saying
yeah.
too.
So
To
yeah, if
be.
you do decide to cook some pasta or whatever, let's not do no bread, because we
Mhm.
think about stuff weighing us down and filling our body up.
Well, I don't really do, I
Ugly.
cannot do pasta. I can
Okay.
do bread. The only reason why I would want to do bread is because like one of the things that you can replace for meat is like mushrooms or hummus,
Okay.
right? And I don't have to do the pasta actually. The bread, maybe a slice of bread to put the hummus on
That's
along with, like
like
for
a toast.
example, one a replacement meal or whatever that I tried maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it was really good. And it was a vegan meal, but it was a sandwich. I toasted a piece of bread, put the hummus on top of the bread. I did sauteed onions, mushrooms, peppers, garlic, put that on top of there, and I did avocado and put that also on top of it too. It was absolutely delicious, and it was no meat.
Okay.
It was so good. But that was without pasta, but it was with a slice of bread, and then slice of bread, that helped with filling you up a little bit too, because that's the other thing.
Right,
You
right.
want to be vegan, but you want to feel like you didn't, that you're full, that you're going to be full.
Okay.
I guess with as less
I mean,
less calories as possible.
yes, yes. So
Yeah.
maybe so yeah, so if you feel like that's good, so write it down so we can share what it is that we've been eating. I think if we
Okay.
one good thing that we could do is journal and
That's a great
kind of
idea.
like so we could kind of like see how our body is feeling. So if that's working for us, if it's not working for it'll be something to help us to change a little bit because we can say, you know what, I was feeling like this. I
Yeah.
started like this way, but when I ate that, this is
Mm-hmm.
how it made me feel. Or if I'm a person that's going to be getting on the scale, well,
Mm-hmm.
I ate that, but then I see that I'm not dropping nothing and I'm eating only fruit and vegetables. What's going on? So we got to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what are these things doing to us
Mm-hmm.
versus just getting rid of the meat, And then if we're not eating that other stuff every day, we don't want to start making too many replacements because
Mm-hmm.
like for me, I like sweet stuff. And then when I decided not to do the sweet, I said, oh, well, I'll eat the chips. I was buying the chips for everybody else, but now I'm eating all the chips and replacing the chips.
Well,
So
just make sure it's a healthy replacement. Like
yeah,
something I learned from you, like at night, I'm a snacker, right? And I do love chips, to snack on chips at night. But something I learned from you, you freeze grapes.
yes,
That's a perfect replacement instead of eating barbecue Lay's potato chips at night, I started freezing
And I'm
freezing
glad you
grapes.
mentioned that because I totally forgot about. I'm gonna put.
It's a great replacement.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to get me some grapes and put them in because it's
Yes,
about when you freeze those grapes, it brings that sweetness of the grapes like to the top, and it's like
it does.
it is really good.
It
And it
does.
reminds me of also them old fashioned frozen cups. I don't know. We used to call them juleps, and have
Yeah,
all that sugar and you freeze it.
right.
Tastes so good and you scrape. But that's what them grapes kind of.
Yeah,
But it ended up being healthy.
right, exactly.
So it's all kind of things we could do on this vegan challenge. So
Yes.
whatever it is, because the real vegan is all about not having the meats, but we also want to focus on cleansing and getting our body a fresh slate. So we know that
Mm-hmm.
we have to eat bread all the days, right? So because you don't have to, you don't have to really cook bread. That could be light bread. But I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
see, we're gonna, you know what, before we make it too overly complicated, we're
Uh-huh.
gonna see what we're gonna do,
Okay.
know what the goal is, and then we're gonna come back together and we're gonna talk about what happened.
Okay, that sounds good. And we could something I would love to do, because I know vegans go through this. I've read this somewhere or talked to other people that are actually vegans, or real, that have been vegans for a while, right? And they said one of the things, the challenges they had was finding, because if you're used to eating meat, a starch, protein, a starch and a vegetable,
Okay,
right? Because I'm a meat, potatoes, and a vegetable type,
okay,
you know. So you throw the meat out. So one of the challenges they said they have is finding replacements or actually sharing recipes,
okay,
right? That actually taste good, that didn't have the meat, but they used other things like hummus, or they use mushrooms, which have the texture, can have the texture of meat,
mm-hmm.
right? What is it, jackfruit? I haven't tried it yet, but I've seen it online. I saw someone that they used jackfruit as a replacement kind of for meat because it has the texture of meat.
Okay.
Because apparently a lot of things that we eat it because of the texture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Well,
I
I
don't
know
know.
my husband is big on texture. Like he could make something certain texture he don't like. I don't know what it is.
Exactly.
And it like, he just,
Right.
but anyway, that's a whole nother
Right.
topic.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, it's a whole other topic.
it's a whole nother topic. But
Right.
so
But
yeah,
like potato chips, I like the texture of chips because they're crunchy, right? But chips are, it's processed and it's not necessarily good for you. But maybe it's something else that I could replace it that's crunchy, as well. And, as a replacement, that's a healthy replacement.
okay,
So that's part, from what I understand, that's part of the challenge that vegans have is, trying to replace that texture of meat. But there's, like the jackfruit or mushrooms or whatever, um, that you can try and season it up or whatever, and season it up without seasoned salt, like season
right,
it with
right.
spices and other things.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna come back
But
with
share recipes, share
yeah,
recipes.
share some recipes and
Yes,
everything. And so we're gonna leave you guys with that. And if you want to jump on our challenge, jump in and write in. So anyway, thank you guys, and thank you, Demetra, for being my partner.
sure.
We'll see you in a week. And thank y'all
Yes,
for joining us on A Sister's Trust.
yes. Bye.